Brilliant, really good. You play so beautifully. The only thing that I'm going to talk to you about is just a little bit of more quality. Because I think that all your musical impulses are just right. You feel the beauty of the Adagio just the way I would like it. You feel the energy of the Allegro. We worked together earlier this week and we were talking about non-vibrated notes. And I think some of them are probably deliberate. I'm not sure I would agree with them all. Some of them I do feel are inadvertent, perhaps not what you intend. But let's talk about them so that we really know what we're doing and why we're doing it. So right at the very beginning, I thought your first note was very beautiful. And then you chose not to vibrate the G. And I believe that that was a conscious choice. Yeah?
Yeah.
Right. And then, but then every time that figure came, you didn't vibrate the upper note of the appoggiatura. So, does everyone in this room know what an appoggiatura is? No, probably not. Some, of course, do. All right. Whoa, wait a minute. I'll stand up. Play me any chord you like. Okay, so the first note didn't fit in the chord, and so there's a little bit of a feeling of pulling, and then it resolves itself into the chord. That's what an appoggiatura is. So it's a very expressive device that composers use. So if we just play the very beginning. So you hear how the that's an appoggiatura. I choose to vibrate it because I think it's a very beautiful and expressive note. Andy chooses not to vibrate it because he thinks it's a very beautiful and expressive note. The thing is that it then became sort of a habit, and it was a mannerism. And I think you could mix it up a little bit. Unless you really feel strongly that every one of them shouldn't have vibrato. But
I think maybe the first one was conscious, and then after that,
right, right. So just play a little bit of the Adagio again. Okay, it's beautiful. It's really beautiful what you do. I just have a couple of questions, actually. Also, just things that I might remember before you play them a second time. So, we're faced with choices of bowing all the time. So, a composer gives us a very strong guideline about bowing. They never write down bows and up bows for us, but they'll give us these slurs over a bunch of notes. And those are largely phrasing marks, articulation, but they're also bowing. In this case, it's a little bit dodgy because actually Schumann wrote this piece for the horn, which of course doesn't have a bow. So does he, for the solo, for the melody line in there, have two bars under a slur?
Yeah, the first two bars.
First two bars, right. And then yeah. So probably on the cello it would be too constricting to play those two bars in one bow. I think you quite rightly split it, but then you play slurred into the. So then you're energizing the B flat by changing the bow. In effect, disobeying an instruction that Schumann has given you, right? Because that's a very different feeling, where the energy comes from the D flat and the B, from the D flat, and the B flat, the high note, is just a consequence of that energy in the same gesture. going on. There were similar things to that. See, I'm a bit of a purist about this kind of stuff because I always feel like most of my cello colleagues are just outrageously cavalier about the way that they rewrite music and rewrite instructions given to them by the greatest musicians that had ever lived. And one of the best classes that I ever saw was Anne Bilsma, who's now in his 80s, but he's a great cello hero of mine, wonderful Dutch cellist. And he said to the student who was playing, "Don't try to teach Mr. Bach a lesson." And that was really good. So I would say, yeah, for the most part, don't try to teach Mr. Schumann a lesson. I also thought, I mean, we're faced also with a choice, aren't we, of do we try to make this instrument sound like a horn, or do we say, nah, this is better than a horn? Because I thought you were somewhat, not the very first bar. The first bar was beautiful, but then, partly because of the bowing, when you played, I thought that was rather extroverted in something which you'd started the beginning of the phrase, rather intimate and introspective and thoughtful, and which I loved. I mean, do you think that the very first phrase should go from intimate and thoughtful to...
Well, I'm starting to think not now.
Wonderful. All right. I think that's good. I think we should see through things that we start. Yeah. Yeah. All right, just play the first phrase one more time, and then we're going to skip.
So do you think I should change the bowing to kind of...
I only think that you should play... It's so vocal, actually. It's for a singer rather than for a horn or a cello. It just so happens that the cello is one of the best singers around. Okay, that's beautiful. That's great. That's wonderful. All right, let me just come and look and decide where to skip to. Oh, actually, one little thing, just skipping not very far. So you played two bows, and then... So your energy when you were accompanying was the same as when you were singing a primary line. And I think when you're accompanying, I always think use less bow when you're accompanying. So the dialogue is much clearer. And so it's not just less bow, it's probably less vibrato too. And then it's just the way actors deal with the center of the stage. You know, that they sort of move in and out in a way that is natural, but in a way that everybody can hear what they're supposed to be hearing. We do things with the bow that are unequal speeds, right? Even at the beginning. I mean, you might play... something like that, and it feels right. When it finally comes back after... and then equal bow speed. because it gives you a new light on that melody. And I think you did quite a lot of stuff in those 4 bars that made complete sense. You know, this is just another way. But I think that quite a lot of music does this. It sometimes starts out with something simple, it develops, and then it returns to something that's even more simple than it ever was. And there's something cathartic about that. You know, that, yes. You know, one of the best concert experiences I ever had, funnily enough, was listening to Isaac Stern playing the Beethoven concerto and coming out of the cadenza, you know, all of that sound and fury of the cadenza, and then he played this just that way. You know, and it's just so sort of basic and elemental. And so I always look for things like that. And if it seems appropriate, then I try to just drag one of those into something, because it works. All right, let's jump to the Allegro, because I want to talk again about vibrato. And it was in the Allegro that I felt that some of the non-vibrato was inadvertent. So we're very busy as cellists. You know, we have a huge amount to think about. We have to play in tune. We have to play the right notes. We have to know where we are in the piece. We have to know what the other people are doing. We have to make a nice sound. We have to phrase well. It's endless, the list. And so sometimes we just simply forget something. But we all tend to forget the same thing, which is to vibrate little notes. And, you know, honestly, if you play, it's just not a very nice sound. And mostly, I don't even know if it's being forgetful. I think maybe it's just that people think there isn't time to do that. You know, that the notes are going so fast that vibrating isn't going to make any difference. But I really take issue with that, because I think that if you can have that feeling, and then it's just a better quality. Even these, if you play, it's not so nice, but something like that is better quality. So pretty much every time you had either triplets or quavers, they were unvibrated. Yeah. Just about everything. You can go too far the other way, where it just sounds silly if you know, and also what happens when you try to vibrate every note is that it starts slowing down because it takes too long. Sometimes just thinking about it is enough. Just a thought that that quality is better than if I did none. I'm barely vibrating, but there's just some quivering thought that keeps it lively and beautiful. Do you want to play the beginning of the Allegro and see how that comes out? You do it together. Yeah. How do you feel? It's too much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's kind of, there's lots on a few more notes.
Yeah.
But not a kind of general.
Okay. So this is in conjunction with another idea. It'll work better. Just still desperately looking for a hole.
Should we share?
No, I found one.
Okay.
It's all right. Yeah. So, for instance, this is the best example. If you play, all those notes are too important.
Yeah.
Partly because you're vibrating them all, but more because you're using too much bow on them all. So, pretty much anything that goes up or anything that goes down, it's a good idea to use more bow as you go along or less bow as you go along.
Yeah.
So instead of to play, right, that has much more of a gesture of I was going to say gesture of ascent, but that's not really what I mean. I mean, you feel the ascent, but it's more alive. And passing notes, we know that from our theory classes. Passing notes are not so important if there's no different harmony on them. So we don't need to emphasize them. So the less bow we use, the less they'll be emphasized. So if we take this example with the same idea, rather than playing the same amount of bow, I don't think you were doing that, that's a little bit crass, but it doesn't sound very sophisticated.
No.
Right? What if... See, it's actually a pretty good idea with music. It's a very simple idea. When it goes down, go down. When it goes up, go up. It works unbelievably more often than you would expect. So it starts high, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down, up, down. And it just feels like you're following the line of the music, and it's natural. But I prefer to do that with the amount of bow rather than with volume. Because we don't... that sounds really dumb. So... that way it sounds more refined, keeping the same, what we call contact, which is just the amount that we feel we're in the string. You keep that the same, but use more bow for the higher notes. And vibrate the higher notes a little more. So, do that. Do one slowly by yourself. Yeah, and there are all kinds of variants and degrees of that, but it has a sort of freedom about it that's absolutely right for the music. All right, now do it together. Okay, I'm going to stop you again. It's great. See, I'm going to talk about things that most people in the room really don't care about. But that's okay, because,
I might.
You might, yeah. So, all right, we'll go back to Schumann slurs. I mean, this really doesn't matter, but why did he slur? Right? Why did he do that, you think?
What, for the line?
Yeah, more for the harmony. Can we do that slowly together? So the first bar, it's just one chord.
Yeah.
Right? And if you play, then you create two impulses.
I was actually thinking that earlier, and then I thought maybe it's a bit too late to change the
Oh, good for you.
because
All right.
I thought you might say something.
Yeah, I'm so predictable. Yeah. And then the next one, after even more, this one, slowly. Right, so ta-da-dum, po-da-da. I like to hear that. And here's the other thing, going back to the cavalier nature of the cello world, why do people always take extra bows? Well, you tell me. Tell everybody why.
Well, for comfort.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. See, people want to be comfortable playing the cello. And I don't know what it is about my personality, but I want to be uncomfortable. But I feel like I'm also doing a good deed in my discomfort because I'm upholding something important. And there's also some struggle, which comfort eliminates struggle. So we don't want to totally eliminate struggle because that's really part of the music. But what it comes down to really more important than that, I'm kidding with that, is gesture. And gesture is determined by harmony and rhythm. So that's so clearly two gestures. And when we play, that becomes more gestures which are unwanted. So, see, and unfortunately, we cellists are cursed with the idea that we're never loud enough. And it's true, we really aren't. You know, we don't have the perfect acoustical instrument like the violin. And so we're always struggling to be heard. And so this is why people use many more bows, because it does make things louder. But I once got a review that I was playing in a chamber group, and it said, it was a string trio, and it said, Colin Carr played louder than his colleagues, not better. So I'll never forget that. So louder actually isn't better. And I think that we should go with these classical gestures of and then we have a half bar, and then again. Same idea with the vibrato. So then we're mixing things up more.
Yeah.
And I like that. I think it's good. On the vibrato theme, another place was, I thought, just wasn't really cared for.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Right, I mean, you hear the difference. I mean, it's so important. But you have to get it just right. Yeah. Hey, why do you go up the octave in the middle?
I thought it'd be fun. I got it.
Your idea?
Well, no, it was Shafran's idea.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. Never heard that before.
Yeah, and also the note at the end of the C sharp.
Right. Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I was shocked. But why not?
Yeah.
No, it's good. It's good. We should stop. But do you think of the middle where what does he write there? Etwas something.
Etwas ruhiger.
Ruhiger. Etwas ruhiger. Right. So just somewhat calmer. Do you think different tempo, different character?
Yeah.
Don't start playing it like you're feeling it's the Adagio. think. It's pretty turbulent in there. There's all these syncopated quavers. And the... Because one thing that I find embarrassing is when people play really slowly, it sounds beautiful, but then they're playing, you know... And there's this accelerondo that he didn't write.
Oh yeah, I was going to say that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, I think if you play basically in tempo, you don't need to rewrite the music, and possibly it's in the character anyway.
Yeah.
No, it's great. I wish we had more time to talk and sort of get into more detail, but it's super what you're doing. Just quality. Care for fast notes. So you played me Schumann concerto the other day, right?
Yeah.
We didn't do any of the last movement.
No.
Are you practicing the last movement?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Slowly, but
right.
surely.
So that would be a prime case, right? You've got all these semiquavers.
Yeah.
And if you don't vibrate, and it sounds like it often sounds. But if you... or, you know... all these notes, not all, but the ones that have a chord on them, just think vibrato.
Yeah.
I had a violent argument with a student in France just a couple of weeks ago who said, yeah, you're not really vibrating. It's just you do more bow, he said. Maybe he's right, I don't know. But just the thought of it makes it sound better. Anyway, great, Andrew. Terrific. Really, really good. Okay.